Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our Philosophical Exploration podcast. Today, we're embarking on a profound journey through a book that wrestles with one of humanity's most enduring questions: does God exist? This isn't just a theological inquiry, it's a deep dive into the very essence of existence, consciousness, and our place in the universe. The book unfolds as a dialogue between a seeker, someone torn between scientific reasoning and religious belief, and a voice that could be a friend or perhaps the seeker's own inner thoughts. Together, they navigate a landscape filled with existential questions, challenging traditional doctrines, while seeking a new understanding that harmonizes science and spirituality. From the outset, the seeker grapples with the universe's purpose and the possibility of an afterlife. He confronts the difficulties posed by literal interpretations of biblical texts, recognizing the conflict with modern scientific understanding. This tension sets the stage for a deeper exploration of how ancient scriptures can still hold relevance in a contemporary world. One of the powerful statements made is, "This book is about seeing." It has the potential to make all of us see in a new, profound way. This call to new sight invites us to look beyond surface-level interpretations and consider the deeper truths that may be encoded within ancient texts. It echoes the idea that sacred scriptures can be both a blessing and a curse. They enlighten when understood metaphorically, but can mislead if taken purely literally. As the dialogue progresses, the seeker delves into the nature of God, pondering concepts like the Trinity, incarnation, and miracles. He raises a thought-provoking question. If we believe in God, shouldn't we ask, what would be traits larger than the ones just mentioned and more probable for a God to have that created us, although he or she is in need of nothing? This challenges us to expand our understanding of the divine beyond anthropomorphic qualities and consider attributes that transcend human limitations. The seeker also tackles the problem of evil, a classic conundrum in theology and philosophy. How can a benevolent and omnipotent God allow suffering and injustice in the world? This question has been debated for centuries, from the writings of St. Augustine to the contemporary reflections of philosophers like Alvin Plantinga. The dialogue doesn't provide definitive answers but encourages an ongoing search for understanding. Moving forward, the conversation touches on the concept of salvation and introduces the idea of the female dimension of God. This invites readers to consider more inclusive and holistic views of the divine, recognizing that limiting God to masculine imagery may obscure other aspects of the sacred. It resonates with feminist theology, which seeks to redefine traditional notions of God to include feminine qualities. The seeker emphasizes a modern interpretation of religious concepts, advocating for a shift away from superstition and blind faith toward rational analysis and personal experience. He asserts, if Christ is in us and we are in Christ, then I think we as individual beings have not only a right but also an obligation to participate in finding truth. I also think it is legitimate to say that we participate in creation. This perspective empowers individuals to take an active role in their spiritual journeys rather than passively accepting prescribed doctrines. The role of churches and priests comes under scrutiny, particularly regarding practices like celibacy and the tragic instances of child abuse within religious institutions. The seeker calls for accountability and reform, reflecting a broader societal demand for transparency and justice. This critique aligns with recent movements advocating for the protection of vulnerable individuals and the ethical responsibilities of spiritual leaders. In his quest for meaning, the seeker confronts doctrines like original sin and the story of Adam and Eve. He seeks interpretations that offer personal significance without conflicting with scientific knowledge about human origins. This approach mirrors the thoughts of theologians like Paul Tillich, who viewed religious symbols as pointing to deeper truths rather than being literal historical accounts. Science enters the dialogue as the seeker discusses concepts like probability and the Big Bang theory. He explores the nature of consciousness and its different levels, delving into epistemology, the study of knowledge, and ontology, which examines the nature of being. By bridging scientific inquiry with spiritual questions, The seeker aligns with thinkers like Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, who envisioned a future where science and religion converge. The fascinating aspect of the conversation is the idea of collective consciousness. The seeker proposes that individual consciousness may connect with a larger, universal consciousness, what some might call God consciousness. He states, if God exists, then we coexist with him or her or it. Thus, we have obligations, like not sinning against nature, but we also have rights or blessings. This suggests a reciprocal relationship with the divine and emphasizes our responsibility toward the natural world. The exploration of consciousness brings to mind the work of Carl Jung, who introduced the concept of the collective unconscious, a shared reservoir of experiences and archetypes across humanity. Similarly, contemporary philosopher Ken Wilber discusses consciousness in terms of spiraling levels of development, integrating personal growth with wider cosmic awareness. The seeker references systematic and fundamental theology, liberation theology, and the writings of mystics like Teresa of Avila and Thomas Keating. Teresa of Avila, a 16th century Spanish mystic, emphasized the importance of inner contemplation and the soul's journey toward union with God. Thomas Keating, a Trappist monk, advocated for centering prayer, a form of meditation aimed at experiencing God's presence within us. By incorporating these perspectives, the dialogue bridges traditional spirituality with modern contemplative practices. Addressing the materialist argument, the seeker entertains the possibility that God could be the result of evolution through collective consciousness. This parallels ideas in process theology, which views God not as a static being but as dynamic and evolving alongside the universe. It invites us to consider divinity as intimately connected with the unfolding of creation itself. An essential theme in the book is the importance of surrendering to the unknown and finding meaning in life, a concept vividly explored by Viktor Frankl. In his seminal work, Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, posits that the primary human drive is not pleasure but the pursuit of meaning. He writes, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." The seeker's journey reflects this inward transformation, embracing uncertainty as a catalyst for growth. One of the most striking statements in the dialogue is, "There is literally only God." This echoes the non-dualistic perspectives found in Eastern philosophies like Advaita Vedanta, which teaches that the true self and the ultimate reality are one and the same. It suggests that separation is an illusion and that realizing our unity with the divine is the ultimate truth. The seeker encourages readers to embark on their own paths toward truth, free from the constraints of rigid doctrines. He acknowledges that the search for answers is ongoing and often challenging, but ultimately fulfilling. Take the path, especially when it contributes to the greater good. This sentiment aligns with the existentialist perspective that individuals must create their own meaning through authentic choices and actions. Advocating for a more inclusive and tolerant worldview, the book envisions a society where people freely explore spiritual truths without fear of judgment or condemnation. The seeker emphasizes that the quest for truth involves not just the intellect, but also intuition and personal experience. By being receptive to the unknown, we open ourselves to transformative insights. The dialogue also touches upon the importance of interconnectedness and solidarity. The seeker believes that embracing our interconnectedness can lead to collective efforts to create a better future. This idea is reminiscent of the African philosophy of Ubuntu, which translates to, "I am because we are." It underscores the notion that our humanity is shaped by our relationships with others. In reflecting on the universe and evolution, the seeker expresses optimism. So, I think we need to trust the universe, evolution, and God. The universe has always turned catastrophes into progress. This perspective acknowledges the tumultuous nature of history while maintaining faith in the overarching direction toward growth and improvement. It brings to mind the concept of the cosmic evolutionary process, as described by thinkers like Brian Swim, who views the universe as a dynamic, self-organizing entity. Throughout the conversation, there's an underlying call to action. The seeker suggests that recognizing our unity with the divine and each other carries both rights and responsibilities. By not sinning against nature, we honor the sacredness of the environment, a message that resonates strongly in the context of contemporary ecological concerns. In summarizing the journey, the seeker's exploration is not just an intellectual exercise, but a holistic pursuit that integrates mind, body, and spirit. The dialogue encourages us to be active participants in our own spiritual development and to contribute positively to the world around us. As we conclude this exploration of the book, we're reminded of the words of philosopher Soren Kierkegaard. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. The seeker's journey exemplifies this sentiment, emphasizing that the search for meaning is as important as any answers we might find. Thank you for joining me on this thoughtful journey. I hope this discussion has sparked new ideas and inspired you to reflect on your own beliefs and experiences. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember that the journey toward understanding is a path we walk together.